We're gonna review Cruel Jaws now. Today we're reviewing The Last Shark. I mean Jaws 5. I mean Cruel Jaws. Wait a minute. Under the pseudonym William Snyder, exploitation mastermind and schlock connoisseur Bruno Mattei directs Cruel Jaws, one of the greatest and most audacious rip-off movies in cinematic history. This is a film so rife with stolen footage that I'm not even sure I can show footage without getting demonetized. Oh, come on! We just started. God damn it. The craziest thing about Cruel Jaws is just how much it straddles the line between absolute uninteresting garbage and really being a bona fide cult classic. This is a movie that really does not have an original idea in its entire being. It is just a slapdash attempt at milking the littlest cent that it could get out of a franchise that was, at this point, already dead. And in doing so, and, being an Italian production, what we get is a menagerie of what the fuckery, and quite a bit of filler and vain attempts at matching new footage with stock footage. It's a whole lot of what were they thinking? And, it kinda works. Check out this weird attempt at drama, wherein our Hulk Hogan impersonator's daughter is revealed to be handicapped, and our two youthful heroes look on in shock as forlorn music plays.
See how well I can swim now?
Yes, you've really gotten quite good.
I had two great teachers, Cookie and Daisy. Come and let me introduce you to Poppy.
It's a weird moment, and that's the primary type of entertainment Cruel Jaws peddles in. Most of the actors exchange baffling moments as only an Italian director instructing American nobodies can manage. It's very much the Claudio Fragasso Troll 2 effect, where, you have these American actors and a director who does not speak much, if any, English, and dialogue that is translated from Italian, and usually poorly at that. And that scene with the Hulk Hogan impersonator's daughter is really emblematic of what kind of movie you're in for. It's a lot of misplaced scenes, a lot of scenes that try for drama when they really shouldn't be, scenes that are aiming to ape, I assume, other things that Bruno Mattei saw and felt would be good for the audience? I don't really know. In fact, I'm not even sure what audience this was for. It's so chock full of copyrighted material that there's no way it could have really made a dent in the US. And it has American actors for some reason, and if you're going for the Italian market, well, you could just use Italian actors. It's really bizarre. Now, you'll notice I haven't actually talked about a plot. That's because there's no reason to talk about a plot. In fact, if we just take this, by the way, my disc, the slipcover came damaged. I don't know if you could see in the intro, but this thing is pretty fucked. Presumably because it was so tight. I don't know what the deal is, but either which way. I sent Severin a message. I'm sure they'll respond soon. They're pretty good about getting back on these things and sending out replacements, even though I still haven't gotten Fulci for fake, so I should probably get on that too. Yeah. Anyway, I am expecting a new slipcover. Cool thing, I love how Severin looks at potential copyright lawsuits and is just like, meh. Cool slipcover. Anyway, fun fact, I had this whole bit planned where if I hated this movie, I would rip this in half, but I didn't hate it, so I'm not going to rip it in half. I'm going to throw it around a lot, though. Anyway, Cruel Jaws. Even the back doesn't describe the plot. It's just, he defied all laws of good taste and international copyright with Shocking Dark and Robo-War. Here, as William Snyder stunned the civilized world with his ultimate sharksploitation saga that liberally borrows characters, plot, and footage from Joe D'Amato's Deep Blood and Enzo G. Castellari's The Last Shark. Experience the epitome of outrageous thievery cinema, says AllMovie. Actually released in some countries as Jaws 5, now remastered uncut in HD for the first time ever. So yeah, there's no reason to point out the plot. It's just basically a mix of Jaws and The Last Shark. That's really, and really I only say The Last Shark because scenes, especially in the last half, are very liberally borrowed. I mean, he just takes a ton of footage from that movie. And The Last Shark is pretty good. Like, The Last Shark is, as far as Jaws ripoffs go, pretty good. And so, you know, I guess they're stealing from the best. Anyway, just to give you an idea of how much of a ripoff this is, check out, let's go with this scene. I love how our main boy explains tiger shark. So go ahead, main boy.
Billy, what do we know about sharks?
Well, we know that they're a sort of locomotive with a mouth full of butcher's knives. And all they really know how to do is swim, eat, and make baby sharks. And that's all.
Yeah. If I get the corresponding Jaws clip, please.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine. It's really a miracle of evolution. All this machine does is swim and eat and make little sharks. And that's all.
Also, side note, I love his acting. It's the worst, like, out of this whole movie, this guy probably has the worst acting style. He just comes off as such a little douchebag, and he's like our main character. Oh, and there's our gaggle of knucklehead bad guys who are needlessly violent and evil to the point that they poison a dolphin.
Giving them a special filling, strychnine nitrate with rat poison.
Jesus. But don't worry, they're likable in their own way.
Hold it!
What do you want?
I'm the person in charge of pussy. I have to, check your credentials.
Dick brain, dick brain, dick brain.
Speaking of which, there's a ton of dialogue that is just troll 2 levels of what the fuck. Now, that's not to say that this is on par with that film, but like it's pretty, it's some pretty wild bullshit between the actual dialogue and the way it's delivered. It's just so strange. It has that almost art film aesthetic that good Italian exploitation has, where it's just like, what was going through their minds in this moment?
No. I want to swim first.
Oh, what a pain in the ass. You go by yourself and I will wait for you here.
Bro, just get in the water. You came to the beach, do as the beach boys do. Uh-huh. Now, where have I seen that shot before? You know what's sad? This is one of the less egregious examples of stolen footage in this movie. Like, this is minor bullshit. There are multiple scenes where massive chunks of The Last Shark are spliced into shots from this shoot. Of course, The Last Shark is from 1981 and itself the subject of a lawsuit from Universal for plagiarizing Jaws. Man, if they thought that was the worst ripoff the Italians could come up with, oh boy. And there's the other attraction here, the ripoff aspect. The movie is chock full of not only stolen shots and music, but whole plot beats and dialogue from Jaws. Like, it is aggressive.
Francis, these remains have been in the water for more than 24 hours. There's no saying how many fish have been feeding on it. An autopsy is the only way you're going to get a precise answer.
I feel like I'm, just saying the same thing over and over again, but it really cannot be overstated just how much of a ripoff this is. Like, and it's so bizarre because it seems to me like the obvious decision would be, well, just do the exact same plot beats. And they don't. Like, the plot is extremely similar to Jaws, but they add so much bullshit to it, and it seems totally unnecessary. I mean, it's already not a very long movie. And I don't know why they couldn't just go with something that was more straight and to the point. Oh, there's a shark attack. All the guys can go to the ocean and kill the shark. There's so much stuff added, and I feel like it's mostly because, A, they had a cool location in this weird, like, mini SeaWorld in Florida. And then they also had all this footage, mostly from The Last Shark, that they had to use because I guess it was like the only footage they could use legally, maybe? I feel like Castellari probably gave it to them, I assume. Or they owned it already, whatever the case may be. And so they just had to fit all this stuff together. And what it turns into is this just weird, like, thought experiment of a film. Like, it doesn't feel like a real movie. It feels like someone decided, like, to give Bruno Mattei a challenge. And it was like, hey, Bruno, take all this footage, some that you're going to let you own, but some you're not going to own. So, shush. And just make a movie out of it. Okay, you have this many days and this many dollars. Go find some Americans who are stupid enough to be in your fucking movie. And Cruel Jaws was born. Now, on the downside, despite the overabundance of stolen shark footage, there's really not a whole lot of action here. And whereas Spielberg or even a Castellari are competent at, like, pacing, Bruno Mattei is not quite as up to the task. And yes, I am going to keep saying his name different ways. Fuck you. It's my gimmick.
Talking nonsense, boy. You've been seeing too many movies.
Lots of talking, lots of lazy ripping off of Jaws, and shockingly little utilization of our Hulk Hogan impersonator. Dude's right there, ready and probably willing to dive into a monologue on prayer and vitamins, but he's never given the opportunity, and that, sir, is a failure. A failure. Side note, Richard Dew is actually not the worst actor here. Like, he's a little wooden at times, but then again, so is the actual Hulk Hogan. I'd say he's actually a better actor than Hulk Hogan. And it really, like, legitimately, I joke, but it is a little frustrating how underutilized he is. Because he really should be, like, Mr. Action Hero. Like, they had to know what they were doing when they cast him. He was an actual impersonator. They could have, like, thrown him a few more bones. But they didn't, and that's too bad, because that's a really big missed opportunity. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. They were looking at this as a cash grab ripoff, and I'm looking at it as, man, I like all my cult movies to be really fun, and I like to like things. So, whatever. But Richard Dew, interesting guy. I wish they could have found him for the Blu-ray, but whatever. From a technical standpoint, the most glaring issue outside of, well, everything I've already mentioned, is the overabundance of this blue filter. A lot of this movie takes place at night, but basically none of it was shot at night. In fact, it appears the night scenes were shot around noon. Now, this is funny at first, but that gel gets a lot of play.
You suddenly realize how futile the things you strive for are.
You need a lesson.
My father acts the way he does because your father gave him that eviction notice.
Don't get mad, Roddy. It makes you back in trouble.
Once the violence really gets going, we're treated to a jamboree of nonsense with some of the most abrupt endings in aquatic horror history. Yep, that's actually what the scenes are edited like in this film. That's... Glorious! Cruel Jaws does get more action-packed the longer it goes, and while basically all of that action is, again, stock footage from Jaws, Jaws 2, Joe D'Amato's Deep Blood, and The Last Shark, it's really not too shabby and is so poorly applied and matched that it is sort of fun. And I guess that's the best way to describe Cruel Jaws. It's sort of fun.
Animal magnetism.
Hey, I'm a sex machine. I even got a spare set of balls.
Does that mean you got enough to go around?
It's not a Troll 2 level classic, nor is it a total bore. It's just sort of fun, and sadly hampered by a director more interested in matching stock footage than making an actual good movie. So would I recommend Cruel Jaws as a film? It's a big maybe. I feel like, I know that a lot of my patrons didn't like this movie. They were disappointed by it. I liked it more. I also just released a video where I shit on Paganini horror, much to many people's chagrin. So, who knows? Taste is subjective. But in the case of Cruel Jaws, I think it's a worthwhile addition to your collection, if only because it's such a weird, rare specimen. And the fact that it's on Blu-ray, or really given any official release in the United States, is staggering to behold, and I would not be surprised if this became very unavailable very fast. but, you know, it's sort of fun, you know. I think the first half is definitely more fun than the second half, but if you enjoy stock footage and, like, enjoy, like, kind of trying to piece together where the stock footage is versus where the new footage is, it can be a lot of fun. And I think this is definitely, I think this is a party movie. I think that with a group of friends, this would be a lot of fun, but by yourself, again, sort of fun. And possibly boring and awful. Who knows? Man, I am awful as a critic. As for extras, we get the Snyder Cut, which is a cute gimmick, Severin. I hesitate to even recall what the additional footage is. It's nothing crazy, but they just added some more footage to the cut that was cut from the film, and that's it. And they called it the Snyder Cut because memes. The Great White Way is a study in sharksploitation by Rebecca McKendry. This one's 20 minutes long, and it does delve quite a bit into the history of sharksploitation. And I do love Rebecca McKendry. She's a phenomenal presence in the horror community, a great writer, great just podcaster, just generally amazing. I kind of wish I was college age and lived in LA so I could take one of her courses. But it wasn't as exhaustive as I had hoped. When I saw that it was a study, as they put it, in sharksploitation by Rebecca McKendry, who is an intense fan of aquatic horror, I was really excited. What I got was something where it told me a bunch of things that I mostly already knew. It did not even touch on Cruel Jaws. You know, it was a good little history. I think for someone who's new to aquatic horror or just doesn't know as much about it, it could be very informative. For me, it was an okay listen, but it could be better. It felt more like an extended interview where she just went on for 20 minutes on one question. So, pretty good. And then the other extra we get is an interview with actor Jay Colligan. It's called These Things Got Made, and it's 12 minutes long. It's conducted over Skype or Zoom or whatever. Jay plays the guy with this line.
I'm the person in charge of pussy.
And he has a very charming recollection of events with this film. He's really fun to listen to. Very warm personality. I always like those warm personalities in these interviews. So his was actually really interesting. Of course, we got a lot of knowledge from what it was like to film, what it was like to work under Bruno Mattei, and stuff like that. So pretty good stuff. Not jam-packed with extras. The only other extra we get is a trailer. So kind of middling on the extras, I would say. I really, again, give me a fucking commentary, guys. Like, seriously. Just get somebody off the street. Just give me a comment. Give me a fucking... Actually, Rebecca McKendry would have made a great commentary. I mean, she knows all the movies that this thing ripped off, at very least. So, I feel like we live in a time where everybody is just at home, dealing. So, fucking put her to work, man. But otherwise, whatever. Cruel Jaws is a totally fine piece of sharksploitation. Again, it's just sort of fun, but oh, Jesus Christ. It's just, it's sort of fun, and I give it a mild recommend. Not necessary, but if you love sharksploitation, if you love Italian ripoff cinema, definitely a worthy piece to add to your collection. And it's just, that's fun. That's a fun thing. Copyrights. Who needs them? All right, and I will get to Massacre in Dinosaur Valley and Primitives in a later video. Obviously, starting tomorrow, I have my Friday the 13th marathon series going. That's 13 videos that I'm doing on Friday the 13th. That's going to take a lot of my time up. So I have already watched Massacre in Dinosaur Valley, so I'm just going to give you a quick little spoiler. I really liked it, and I think it's the best of this trilogy of films. I have not actually watched Primitives yet, but knowing just based on the trailer for Primitives and what I've heard, I think this is probably going to be the best of the three. I highly recommend this film. It's very dumb. It reminded me a lot of Gwendolyn. It's not the exact same. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but it is definitely, it follows a lot of the same beats. So I really like Massacre in Dinosaur Valley. It's just the right amount of sleazy that I enjoy without being overly cruel. So yeah, definitely recommend Massacre in Dinosaur Valley, but I'll get to that review in another video Right now, I have to get back to watching a fuckload of Friday the 13th content, so please follow me on the Twitters, the Facebooks, Instagrams, all that bullshit. And of course, my Patreon. Check out my Patreon if you want to give some money. Please give some money. I'm not speaking of the legality of things. I will be reading selections from Cruel Jaws, the novelization by Brad Carter, which I also got in this package on my Patreon. So if you want to hear me do that, throw some shekels. I only got it's $3. $3 a month. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I need money for more Blu-rays. So yeah, until next time, go watch a movie. Shit, I forgot how long it was. Boop, 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 boop. Didn't write this down. Do.